Welcome to the Two Dudes That Game podcast. I was a little late there.
I see that.
I was just like trying to get something trying to click play on the side. I'm like, why is this not playing? And I'm trying to look at the screen at the same time and didn't catch it out of the corner of my eye there. But we are here. I'm Ender. The guy over there is James. And we are going by the seat of our pants here. We're live. And I said I was ready, but in my mind I wasn't. Like at the end
so
of the
you
day,
were just like, let's just do it.
Well, no, I was opening up the recording software, and you're like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm opening it up." But then it popped up. It's like, "Do you want to recover the last session?" Yes. Do you want to install the new update? I'm like, "Good Lord, what's going on?" Just
you're like, "I'm totally ready."
Please.
Just kidding. I'm not ready.
Caught that. I was expecting it just to open and hit record and not have to answer like 9 questions. Like, are you really ready? Are you ready? Do you think you're ready? I don't know. Oh, I see. I have my stuff on
forever.
I was
ever
set that up on my computer. I had to put another fan in. I told you that I was getting that.
Yeah,
black
you
screen
said that you were getting the issues that I was having, which I find interesting because you give me so much crap about it.
No, I didn't give you crap about it. I said
you have in the past. You're like,
we did everything we could do. At that point, I was like, I don't know. Like, you got to take it in.
Yeah.
And so I took basically that night when we were talking about it, I took the whole PC apart and put it all back together. And then it seemed to be doing fine now. But all the forums were like, it's the plug on the RTX 3080. So you know how it's separated?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at it, and then I noticed it there, when you plug in the second piece, there's a slight wiggle in it.
Which is what I told you before when I was messing with it.
Yeah,
I was like, this feels
definitely
loose.
A wiggle there. And so what I had to do is I had to loosen all of the cables that I had, get it tight, and then I zip tied it down in that position to where it wasn't moving anymore. So it's like zip tied into the tighter position. And since then I've had absolutely no issues with it, but I don't know. It might be time to start looking at the what is it, 4090?
Hey, yeah, maybe. Hey, I want to give
honestly,
real quick,
I don't think the 4090 will fit in my case.
Oh, you're gonna need another case. I've seen. Yeah, you've shown me your case.
No
I want to give a shout out. Someone just jumped into our Facebook Live that I haven't talked to in years. But funny that it's NBA playoffs right now because this guy lost a couple $100 to me the year that LeBron and the Miami Heat came back in that unbelievable comeback against the San Antonio Spurs. So it made my summer. But a big shout out to Eric who jumped into our chat. If you have any questions, Eric, or you just want to talk crap about basketball, because
since no one watches this, I'm still gonna plug myself. So if you're looking for any leather good products, morrisleathergoods.com.
Morris,
you can go and buy
Morris
them.
Leather Goods.
Leathergoods.com.
RRIS.
Leathergoods.com. You can go there and pick them up.
I like that passport wallet you just showcased too.
Yeah, so we got the passport wallet's a new thing that we just put in. Mainly I did that. I made one of those because you had just traveled.
Yeah.
And I saw one on Instagram. I was like, maybe I can make a larger one that fits. But the other nice part about that one is it doubles. I found out today it fits the little field notebooks. So like the notepads, they fit perfectly in there now. So I actually have been using one for work with the field notes inside of it.
Yeah.
And carrying that around because it puts a cover over top of it. It looks a little nicer.
No, I find it interesting. You said we've got this one coming up, but and by we you mean you, because you handcraft everything.
No, my daughter
really?
does it with me too. Yeah,
nice child labor.
Free child labor. She's I'm not going to mention how old she is, but no, she loves it. You can go on my Instagram there too, Morris Leather Goods at Instagram, and you can see her. She sits there and stitches.
Sounds like a subsidiary of Nike.
Hey man, she wanted to do it. I didn't push her into it, and she's pretty good.
I'm sure that's what the Nike lawyers say all the time. We don't push them into it; they just want to make the shoes.
Yeah, no, I mean she gets paid. And,
it's more than
those
kids good. So
cheddar bunnies, the cheddar bunnies,
Yes, my son loves those.
Yeah, they're the best.
We got to get the gluten dairy free version, but yes.
So yeah, my daughter has the dairy intolerance, so we gotta always find the non-dairy stuff.
Yeah.
Which sucks because like anywhere you go, they're starting to now have like almond ice cream or something like that,
Yeah.
or an option for it. But it's always sucks because there's so much soft serve out there that it's like there's no
the soft
chance
serve,
you could have
the soft serve stuff.
No.
So you know what we go to a lot, and maybe it's something you could, and I'm sure you do, but we make it a priority. I don't go to a lot of ice cream places anymore. I go to a lot of gelato places, and gelato has so many options for dairy free.
Yeah, we only have one, and we go to it. That's close enough to us because we're in the boonies.
Gotcha.
So like, but it sucks because we have one of the just like the stands that you can go to.
Yeah.
You know, that is there, and it just opened up. And I was talking to the owner. She lives in our neighborhood, and she's actually thinking about starting to carry. They actually make the Silk, the brand of milk or whatever it is, make like a soft serve thing that they can buy now. So she's actually thinking of carrying it because so many people are asking for it.
Yeah.
So we'll see there. But the other place, who else? There's one major chain that has Cold Stone.
Yeah.
Cold Stone has a couple of options as well that you can do. And then we do a lot of the frozen yogurt just because my son, their kids just love fruit and it's easy to do.
Yeah.
And less dairy in there, she doesn't react as much. But anyway, since we're not parents versus gaming, and we're talking about our kids, but speaking of our kids, and we'll kind of get into like the first little topic here. I did finally go see the Mario movie with them. The soccer games got rained out on Saturday. We had our big typhoon that came through.
And I believe
in the beginning of the movie, though.
I believe this. Oh, that's funny, but I believe it hit $1 billion this weekend too.
Yeah, I told you it would.
Yeah.
But so we went and saw it. So I guess we can have your opinions because we haven't talked about it at all. So we were waiting for me to go see it.
I really enjoyed it. I think some people are a little lost expecting this. You know, I don't know. Some people are like, well, it's not Pixar. Pixar knows how to make an adult and kids movie, but it's based on Mario. Like, calm down.
So, but I guess the comment there, because I haven't looked at any comments on it, is that it wasn't adult enough or wasn't kid enough?
Some people say it wasn't adult enough and give enough.
I would have said it was the opposite.
Yeah,
I feel like there was. I feel like there was like at least for
what people say.
But
I don't know who they are, but they.
The masses that be the ones that are in the article. Because I felt like some of the Wario. Not Wario. Bowser parts. Bowser parts were
a little scary.
A little scary, yeah. Because I mean, my son's only 4.
Yeah, it was my son. He hasn't quite turned 3, and he was a little bit nervous with the Luigi part there at the beginning.
Yeah, and then Luigi. But so I think my favorite part of the whole movie was the fact that they pulled every game into it.
Yeah, no, I thought that was
just
really
the way that they pulled all the games through. They even had homages back to Wrecking Crew.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people have never played that game, but it was one of the first. It was the first game to have Mario in it, other than the arcade Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
So they had it to where he was breaking stuff down with it. They had the Mario Kart there, and we were talking about Tropical Breeze, and you're saying, hey, when you see it, you'll understand. But yeah, that's the Tropical Breeze island that they're on for Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
And I did love the Donkey Kong and Mario relationship between the two, on how they kind of want to help each other, but they don't like each other at the same time.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a fantastic movie. And honestly, I thought Chris Pratt did a decent job.
Yeah, I think they did well.
It didn't bother me.
And I think that they threw in something a little bit that makes sense why his accent isn't quite what it is, but it's because he's basically grown up in New York, but his family heritage is Italian. And then because he tries to sound Italian on the commercial, and he's like, did I get the accent right? And his brothers are like, no, it sucked. And his dad's like, it was great.
Yeah. No, I thought it was great. And then to see like Rainbow Road come into play and all, it just popped
the
up
Mario.
on the screen
The Mario Kart scene.
The Mario Kart was great.
Was done really well.
So yeah, I had no issues with it. I think they have a lot of ways to go. And going back to what we were talking about last week, I definitely want to see the Donkey Kong one now, just from the characters and like that relationship. And
I think it's
fantastic. I think that'd be a great a great movie for them to go ahead and spin off of. But again, they brought all the games in, so that was fun for me and my wife sitting there because my wife's played all of them, beat all of them, and they even got Odyssey in there. Like they got everything. It was.
I need more of. I need more of that leaf.
More of that leaf.
Whatever that thing was, the star leaf looking thing.
Oh yeah.
Is he from? I never played the Galaxy games. Is that what that is from?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
But he was.
The only thing I didn't see was like Paper Mario didn't get pulled in there. I
could see that being some sort of like dimension pool at some point in a future movie.
Yeah,
because obviously there's going to be more.
Yeah,
you don't put up $1 billion and don't have a sequel to the Mario Brothers movie.
No. But you know what? I'm surprised that we haven't fast followed that with a game.
My guess is new hardware announcement this summer during a Nintendo showcase around what would normally be the E3 time. And with that new hardware, maybe a Mario teaser.
Do you think
since Zelda's launching with current hardware, I could see a the next Mario game being developed for the next.
Don't quote me on this. I wanted to say it was someone on Twitter. So you know how
that can go.
That can go. And I haven't seen it anywhere else. But I remember just reading it, them saying that it's a possibility that they're going to be separating the console and the handheld again. It's not going to be together. And you're going to have a console that comes out and a handheld. And not just one. The games will be interchangeable, but they'll be separate units.
Yeah,
for them to keep up with the graphics that are happening now in the next gen.
I think that's the deal. I think that I don't know. I think they're going to get into the game and start bringing in more third-party stuff, whether it's Activision stuff, Xbox stuff. Where they'll start they're supposed to have a deal with Activision as long as the Xbox merger goes through, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But I don't think they can keep doing it in a handheld form. And also, I think there's too much money for them in handheld with handheld style games that are strictly handheld. And Nintendo has notoriously just made so much money off the DS and the 3DS and things like that. So to have a console, which they know will sell. I mean, think about this. The Switch has been out for 6 years and it is still $299. It hasn't had a price drop once.
It doesn't need it. It was priced
right. That's absurd.
It was priced right.
But like you're saying, the graphics and all that, like,
well, you also have to step back
buy a Switch today if you don't already have one.
But you also have to step back from that and look at the trend of the world that happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everything got more expensive, and they didn't change their price.
Correct. Yes.
And they continue to sell them, and they didn't need to. They didn't raise them on you when the chips got short.
I'm with you. It still sells at $299. I mean, for a business, I wouldn't drop it either. It's still flying off the shelf. If I look
for what you get from the Switch, a handheld, a console, the graphics that it has, and the games that it has that you get from it for $299, that's a deal.
Yeah,
like it's a deal. It really is. It's the best deal out there because I'm not only just buying a console, I'm getting a device I can travel with that has great battery life and a huge portfolio of games.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, games. So I was looking through the game store, Nintendo game store, trying to find new games for my kids to play because they're just burning through games super fast because they were sick for a week and a half. So they played everything that they had and beat it all. So I found the classic Lion King and Aladdin combo.
That's awesome. Nice.
The Lion King has been the only game that between my wife and I we have played that neither one of us has ever beaten. It's 10 levels. It is it is the hardest game you will ever play. So I suggest you go download it, play it. We have still gotten to the final screen, the Scar fight. You're in level 10. Dying every time. You can't like you can't do it. There's no save. This is no save in the game. So if you don't have a continue, you start all over. You gotta get through all 10 levels again. I got so pissed with it. I finally went and looked up. I'm like, I don't know how to beat this. Like, I have no clue. I didn't know how advanced this game was for the time period.
The Aladdin game, right?
No. This is the Lion King.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't realize how advanced this game was. So my wife's been playing it, and she's a retro
What are you playing
gamer.
it on? You're playing it on Nintendo?
The Switch.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's playing it, and she's like, every time you load into the level, it's different.
Which level is this?
All of them. Every level does it, but the final level is the Scar level. It's where you have to defeat Scar on Pride Rock. Dude, if you go look up the videos, these guys beat in like 5 seconds.
Yeah. Scar was hard.
Yeah, it pisses me off. They beat in like 5 seconds, and I just watched a couple speed runs, and I'm like, you guys make me sick. But so we're playing it, and I didn't realize, but every level is different. Mm-hmm. The actual bad guys do different things every time. There's no pattern to it.
Yeah,
that is so advanced for these games
for
at this
the time that it came out. Yeah,
and it was insane. Like even Scar, when you're fighting him, like the time of when he decides to jump away and you move to the next level or any of that is there. But then I finally looked it up. So Scar has a 200 hit point box. 200 points.
And back then you didn't get little, as you can see, the little gameplay we're saying you don't see like a health bar going down or anything like that.
And every swipe that Simba hits him with is one hit. You have to hit that mother 200 times. It's like a 4 to 5 minute fight. And here's the like it finishing. And so I don't know if she beat it last night. She was up pretty late. She was like, I'm beating this game because I'm done with it. So I don't know if she ended up beating it or not, but like,
that was a clip from
final fight.
Here's the funny thing. That's a clip from Power Up Gaming. They beat the entire game in 29 minutes. It's a full playthrough.
So we can get to level 10 on the Scar in like 15 minutes. It's that final fight. Like once you know the pattern to get through the game, it's easy. Because the thing is with that game, it's side scrolling both ways, but you have to get something on one side of it and then come back to the other and go back and forth with it. The game design of this was way ahead of its time. It's super fun. My kids love watching us play it. And then now we're going to go to the Aladdin, which I think is the second hardest game ever to play. But they're both the same kind of thing. And
Aladdin,
it just shocks me, though.
Aladdin is ridiculous with just the opening.
But you know what shocks me, though, is like how difficult these games were then. And we played them as kids. If they made a game for kids as difficult as they made these games for us, no kid today would ever play a video game. That's what they just have to do. They have dumbed games down to the point. And I always used to make fun of people like, oh, why do you buy the game, like the game, whatever it was, guide. Remember when you'd buy the game guides at the same time you'd have the game? Because there was no YouTube, kids. Yeah, I was there when there was no YouTube. That's how old I am. Oh, this fucking game. Like Jesus Christ. Like I have PTSD because of this damn game.
Yeah. No,
but
this
if
game
they made a game
childhood.
as difficult as they did back then, because we're playing all these retro games, and I'm like, motherfucker, these things, the games we play
and
now.
And when you ran out of lives, you had to start over.
You start over.
Not there's like, let me continue. Let me die 600 times like an Elden Ring and continue to do this level. No, you imagine playing Elden Ring for like an hour and then you die your 5th time and you have to start all the way over at the beginning.
Do you remember when they I don't remember what system it was, but the first time they put in the level codes where you could type in the code when you got to the level.
But the codes were like
in the world.
23 characters long.
Oh yeah, they were ridiculous. And then you could get like the Game Shark magazine, and they'd have all of them in there.
Remember back in the day when you got your game and it came with the pamphlet, like the little instruction booklet. A lot of people don't talk about this, but remember the final like 3 pages were literally blank and it said notes. Yeah. And that was so you could take notes on the game and write down codes. Yeah. They supplied all that to you.
Yeah, they did. It was amazing. But we also didn't have tutorials in the game to teach us how to play it.
Correct.
You just logged in and figured it out.
Yeah.
We all, but anyway, we were just going down like the nostalgia road of these games because they're all coming back out. And it's like, I wanted to get some games for my kids to play. And I'm like, they cannot play any of the games I played as a kid. They'll never be able to beat them. They don't have the patience to sit there and do it because it's all instant gratification now because it's all iPad games.
Yeah.
It's just like I click the button and it does the thing. I click the button and it does the thing. I immediately get this gratification where here you had to fight Like when you got to the end of the game, like you accomplished something. You felt good about it. It wasn't super easy. But anyway, off my soapbox and on to other things that we have to talk about here since I derailed this conversation.
Let's jump into we talked a little bit about this before the show, but I definitely want your take. So we all been talking about forever, every gaming outlet talks about this, the Activision deal, $69 billion. Microsoft is trying to purchase Activision Blizzard. And of course, Sony has
68.7.
Sorry, my bad. But Sony has been all up in arms, right? About Call of Duty this and Call of Duty that. It's going to ruin the market. And it's like, I mean, first of all, Sony's like double ahead of Microsoft, and Microsoft's in second, and Sony's double ahead of them. So that part's really dumb. But a lot of these gaming areas have approved the deal, except for the big three, which are the regulatory bodies, the CMA, the EU, and the FTC. So the EU, the rest of Europe, the CMA is the UK, FTC obviously here in the States. So the first one to drop the hammer was the CMA decided to block the deal. And Ender, I know I haven't told you exactly why, but here is why they said they are blocking the deal. Over concerns in the cloud market, despite Microsoft working tirelessly to sign deals for competing cloud platforms to gain access to Call of Duty and other games. So the CMA is basically saying, we're afraid that Microsoft will run away with the cloud gaming, and by them getting this deal, they're going to have a lockdown on it. Now, I was trying to look up the exact numbers, and I can't look up the numbers, but it's like $100 and something billion is the gaming industry. 1 point something billion is what the cloud figures into that. It's not even 1% of the entire gaming market. And to put it even to better perspective, VR market, which is extremely niche, is like 4 times the cloud market still. And it, to me, and I'll give you my input, and then I'm going to let you run with this. I think it's okay, Google has tried to do cloud gaming. They completely failed and botched it. Microsoft has agreed to deals to multiple cloud gamings, and probably the second best one is the NVIDIA, that if the deal goes through, they get access to all this Activision games and Call of Duty specifically. And it's like Microsoft is basically saying, hey, we're helping the cloud market. We're going to give them all these games. Those deals are only if this deal goes through. So if this deal doesn't go through, NVIDIA gaming, cloud gaming doesn't get Call of Duty, right? So by blocking this, I don't understand. It's almost like, okay, Google failed, so we're going to punish Microsoft for being successful at something that another big company wasn't able to do.
The EU and all that is weird in their regulations anyway.
Well, it's just the CMA. So the EU. I will say Microsoft is going to appeal, but apparently hardly anything.
In that portion of the world when it comes to stuff like this is they're a little bit different than how the US looks at it. So they have a very different opinion on capitalism as a whole.
Yeah.
So there's a very different look at it.
It's like the Tetris movie all over again.
Yeah. Well, that's USSR. that's a little different there too. We're
but
not
just the politics. The politics.
We don't have any communist parties involved in this, so that's gonna be a little different there. But sadly, the CMA actually has the right concern. And they finally got to the right concern. And I know you just said like it's only 1.1% of the market and blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. I remember when a small little company came around and they decided that, you know what? We don't want to, I like this thing that this Redbox has. You go to the Redbox and you get your DVD and then you watch it and you return it to the Redbox. But what if we could cut down that drive to the Redbox and you could just do it online and watch your movie? And it was 1.1000000% of the market, and everyone laughed at them. No one cared about them. And this company called Amazon was like, you know what? I think you guys are onto something too. And they created a little company called Netflix. And all of a sudden, streaming became something. And now, what happens now? Everything is on streaming. Everything is there. Everything is in the cloud. They're not making this decision based off of what it is today. They're making it on how far of a competitive advantage are you going to get by acquiring these companies that are set in this market and understand it well enough to where you can control something that's going to be worth $500, $600, $700 billion in the future.
But let me get on my Microsoft, my Xbox fanboy pedestal here for a minute. A couple weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, the CMA voiced all these concerns because the Sony stuff started to fall apart about how the market share and everything with Call of Duty. So, and they talked about the cloud. So that's why Microsoft went out, agreed to all these deals to allow Activision, not just Activision games. I mean, these other cloud gamings are getting, upon this deal getting approved, Microsoft is going to allow these other cloud services to have access to all of their games on Xbox completely, not just Activision and Call of Duty. So don't you feel like at this point with them, Microsoft is trying to help the cloud industry, in my opinion. I understand that it's a business.
Well, you are.
But it sounds like the CMA is talking out of their, in my opinion, it sounds like they're talking out of their ass and they really don't understand what they're talking about. It's like they wanted to block this deal no matter what, and this is the only thing they could come up with. Because it's so vague.
But I mean, again, you have to look at it as the fact of they're trying to control monopolizing a market to where you own all of the technology, not the games, James. Get out of the games. The games don't matter. It's the intellectual property around the technology to be able to do it. And if I own all of these things to do it, I have to use you and pay you if I want my own thing to work. So if Microsoft takes over cloud gaming and they have all of these guys, the right software engineers, the right places, the right games to blow it up, if I want to start my own, I have to go pay Azure to be able to host all of this stuff. I have to pay Microsoft to run my own thing.
NVIDIA's not using Azure.
You could 1 and 3, but again, if I own enough of the intellectual property behind the technology, I can force you to have to use me to do anything you want through that. And I can control that space higher than anyone else in the future. But I also think anything from that part of the world is over scrutinized, and they're way too much of like, oh, it's going to be this. No one else can do anything. Do I feel like they should block it? No. I don't think you have enough proof that it's going to be the next greatest thing to block it right now.
Yeah.
The only deal that you have out there that you could say comes close to this was when Meta was trying to buy Glyphy in 2021, was CMA blocking that as for the same reasons.
Yeah.
Different space, but same concept, same market share pools, same thing that you're going to have where Meta now controls, this giant space of technology. But I think if you look at the Netflix thing, like I said before, that doesn't mean, and this is where I think the CMA is wrong. That doesn't mean Hulu Plus doesn't work. It doesn't mean that Paramount doesn't work. It doesn't mean that HBO Max doesn't come out. Like you said, other people can still do it, but it's how far ahead can you get? And I personally think Netflix has fallen off the wagon here. They're not catching up.
Now, let me ask you this.
So
if Netflix didn't become the juggernaut that it did by leading that path, would these other platforms have been able to come along and be as successful as they are now? Whether it's the Disney Plus, the
someone
Paramount,
has
the HBO.
to do it first.
So by stopping Microsoft, aren't you hurting this?
You could be stunting the growth of a technology market. Yes, by far. The greatest example of this, and I go back, and if a lot of people listening to this will know because our audience is much older. And if we have any young kids, you won't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, Tony Hawk, back in the day, the 900. When Tony Hawk was trying to do that, I know you remember this because everyone was watching X Games there.
Every time he was gonna,
and he was trying to do the 900 and trying to do it and trying to do it and trying to do it.
People that weren't even skateboard fans were watching this.
Yeah, they're watching it, and I watched it live when he hit it and landed it. 3 weeks later, 2 other guys landed it in competition.
Yeah. Once
one person shows you it's possible, the doors that open up afterwards are unreal. So yeah, someone's got to get through the door. So this could be stifling someone getting through the door and making cloud gaming what it is. And all the other people that were like, oh, this is never possible, we can't do it, aren't going to be there. They're not going to walk through the door because they want a proven market. You don't normally get innovations in market. This really isn't an innovation, but it's utilizing some technology and putting it together in a way that we haven't seen before. Now, honestly, they've got a lot of work to do. I was trying to cloud game the MLB The Show on my PC because I didn't.
And you have good, and you have very good internet. By the way, I have
very good internet, and I'm lazy. I didn't want to go 3 feet behind me and turn on my Xbox
or download the game.
Well, I wanted to record it because I wanted to do the first hour, which we'll talk about here in a minute. And I wanted to record it. So I was like, you know what? Let me try to record it, do cloud gaming at the same time. And I'm like, dude, the lag was so bad. It's like I'm talking and then I watch the video back and then something happens. And even in the gameplay, like it was slow and glitchy. And I was like, okay, let me see if this is actually the game or if it's the platform. And it was the platform because when I went on my Xbox, it was fine.
It was fine, yeah.
Plug in my Xbox over here so I can do some of those games that are just on console. They got a long way to go. But if you want to take a look at a company that understands massive multi-world cloud gaming kind of concepts, people forget that Activision ran World of Warcraft for a long time, which is basically a cloud game. Like the way you pass information, that how massive that is. Like they understand these massive online games. They've learned through the technology. Azure is a good cloud platform. I don't think it's the best cloud platform out there that you could use, but for what they're trying to do, they could get there. I don't think I don't think CMA blocking this is really going to be the worst thing in the world for them, because the other part that they haven't done, and they said they blocked it, but Microsoft is basically disputing it over the fact that I guess there's some financial like errors that they made that they haven't gone back and fixed in the math, and they're off by like 30 or 40 million dollars or it's in some places. So you got to go back and that's always with these things, is they use numbers that don't exist. So they just speculate.
Yeah.
And if one assessor is way off to what the average assessor is, you got to go back and change it. So this isn't over with. This isn't done, but it's going to slow down the process. It hurts us because I don't think we're going to get a good Call of Duty game.
Oh my God, it's ridiculous.
While they're trying to figure this stuff out.
So I think it really, to me, there's a lot of back and forth on whether the deal is dead. I think it comes down to the EU. If the EU comes out and approves it, which is, I mean, to me, this is where it starts to get super political, right? I mean, you've got the Brexit thing. I don't want to go into all the details, but the UK seems to want to do some very strange things. And if the EU decides to pass it, I could easily see Microsoft, once they get this lawsuit with the FTC, if it's approved in the US, it's approved in Europe.
I'm not really worried about the EU because
they'll just leave UK. They'll be like, sorry, you're not getting any Microsoft games or Call of Duty game, I guess.
But part of me doesn't have that big of a worry about the EU because they just partnered with Enware.
Yeah.
They got a 10-year agreement with Enware, which is European's largest cloud gaming platform over there. So it's like, if the EU doesn't side with it, they destroy their own market.
Yeah. So I think, and this is one of the last thoughts I want to have on it, I still think a lot of this, I think the cloud gaming thing is just some BS. I think a lot of this goes back to the good boys system and Sony not wanting this deal to go through. I think there's a lot of protection for them. And I know that Phil, if this, in my opinion, I'm super petty, of course, though, and you are too. If this deal ultimately they have to bow out and just give Activision the $3 billion I think it would take to walk away from this deal, I would be done. I would be going in. Everything that was owned by Xbox would be immediately removed from PlayStation. Every Minecraft IP, everything that was Bethesda owned that they've allowed to stay on PlayStation, I would be like, you know what? We're going to play that game. We're done. Because Microsoft has the money. This BS that Sony goes and pays for games to not be allowed on Xbox Game Pass, that a lot of the public didn't know until these proceedings started happening. All this backdoor deals that Sony has done over the years that to prevent games from being on Xbox. At the end of the day, it's about money, Ender. And Microsoft has 10 times the amount of money that Sony has. So that little game that Sony has been playing over the years and Microsoft has, since the 360 era, has refused to play. If Microsoft decides to play that game, Sony's in a lot of trouble. Because it's very easy for Microsoft to go to these Japanese companies and be like, hey, I know you love Sony, but we can triple the amount of money that they are paying you. And it wouldn't even be nothing for them.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting to see what happens because in the U.S. you still have we're still in the discovery phase with the FTC right now. Supposedly August 2nd is when they're going to have their first evidence hearing where they're going to present what documents. But right now they're still fighting. Sony and Microsoft are still fighting over which documents should be presented as part of it. So it's like it's going to be tangled up for so long, and the amount of lost revenue here, at some point you're going to have to look at it and someone's going to be like, is this even worth the loss in revenue we're getting just trying to fight this deal?
Exactly.
Which, you know,
Microsoft has come out
when you're talking about
saying that
billions
they
of
are.
dollars.
Microsoft has come out and said they are appealing CMA. They are following through with this. They have no intention to leave. Of course, that's all, you know, has to do with, you know, the trade market and all that. They got to say the right things, but and you know, all their boards and all that. So I understand all that. But I do think that if this deal doesn't go through, I think it hurts Activision as a whole.
No, Activision's done.
I think that we might lose one of the best.
Activision Blizzard as it is today is done. They cannot survive together.
And I don't think Sony can provide.
Bad...
Sony can't come sweep in and help them because I don't think they can provide the support.
You know what's going to happen?
Microsoft.
I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening. If this deal doesn't go through, Sony applies for this deal 2 days after
and gets it.
Yeah. They're gonna be right behind them, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, Activision, hey, we'll buy you." Oh, we don't have anything to do with cloud gaming. Like, we don't care about that. And then they're gonna buy them without cloud gaming platform, and then they're gonna go into the cloud gaming space. Like, it's just gonna happen. And people forget cloud gaming also, you got to remember, also brings in mobile gaming. Mobile gaming, part of Activision, is king. People forget about that.
I would have been like more, which is why, you know, Apple and Google have a big, or not so. It's funny, a lot of people don't think about this, but Apple and Google don't want this deal to go through, but for completely different reasons that we hear in the normal video game market. It's because of mobile gaming. Yeah, people forget that this is a huge mobile deal here to get king. Like Candy Crush is, you know, like the games that they make, Candy Crush being the one most people know, are money makers. Yep. And that's pure cloud mobile gaming. That's what it is. Yeah, but so this isn't just about, you can put the big fancy games in front of it and the AAA titles and all that crap, but at the end of the day, the advertising revenue that they make from a stupid game like Candy Crush blows all that shit away. Yeah, it's unreal, but that is the truth. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So like all you're talking about like, all played by people that say they hate video games and they think video games are stupid. Yeah, they, at that point, but they all sit down on their phone and they take out a King game and they watch an ad in order to get an extra heart so they can continue to play. Like, that's where the money is coming from if you really want to look at it. And it supports these AAA titles, and it's a smokescreen. Like, let's look at all these great things, but really behind the scenes, there's a lot of other money being passed here that isn't about AAA titles. Yeah. But the amount of money these games make, they should be treated like AAA titles because they actually make more than most of them. Yep. And honestly, are better games at the end of the day. Like, I could play Candy Crush for freaking hours and not be as angry as I am when I'm done playing Call of Duty with how stupid it becomes. You know. Anyway. All right, so moving on. We'll leave the politics aside. We've started something a little new over at Two Dudes the Game. Yeah. Little passion project that I think kind of fits our lifestyle, actually. Well, it fits yours, and then I was like, you know what? Let me just try one, and then it worked. One worked, one didn't work. So we're learning the world and the space here. So I'll let you go ahead and explain what it is. So this was the first one that we did. I just reached out to Ender over there, and I said, hey, I'm gonna do this thing where I just play a game I'd never played before, because there's obviously our backlog because we play very continuous games over and over and over. And we have lately been jumping into random games because Call of Duty makes us hate our lives, right? So I decided, maybe the division will fix that. Yeah, I said it'd be kind of cool to just play some games I've always wanted to play, but instead of just playing them, I might as well just I'll have all the stuff. I'm sitting on my computer. I don't need my camera. I'll just record my voice, and we'll just raw cut play the first hour. So our series is called The First Hour. and in whatever game. So the first one I did X4 Foundation. So, and we'll do some co-op games in the future as well, where maybe one of us has played and one of us hasn't, or both of us haven't played.
Well, I think the game that just came out today, we need to download that we can play as a co-op.
Redfall, I believe,
Redfall.
right? Comes out tonight or tomorrow. Yeah. So we'll do
today.
that one.
I thought it was today or tonight.
Maybe.
The first. It's supposed to be the first. I could have got that wrong.
So it was a fun series. What I like, kind of the concept behind it though, is the videos are a little bit slower. It's not your rush through first 15, 20 minutes where people are giving you all the hits and giving you all the examples. These videos are meant to be for the people that think they want to try out a game, because I have been victim to the one that jumps on somebody's YouTube page. I watch 3 or 4 videos and the games look so cool because these videos are edited to be entertaining, right? They want to get views, they want to get clicks, and I completely understand that. These guys, these creators that make some of this stuff, whether it's game ranks or some of them, even some of the just regular YouTube people, they're really, really good with their content. But then I get into these games and I'm like, what the hell am I playing? One, the game seems way slower. I don't understand what I'm doing, and everything just seems super confusing. And I play about an hour and a half of it, and I'm like, I don't want to get into the point. And then I'll look up information. It's like, oh, to get to what these guys are doing, all the cool stuff, they're 30, 40 hours into the game at that point, and they're making it seem really cool. So these are raw footage. This is exactly what anybody's experience is jumping into a game that they've never played before. They may have seen a few tips and trick videos and things like that, and then we just kind of show you what there is to play.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could kind of explain that with mine. I did Dead Island. Not my normal game that I would play. Like, I'm not really into zombie games or anything. I'm very heavy into the shooters, and it was very fun. Like, the first hour was super fun. Then I was like, you know what, let's try another game that's kind of around this genre. It's a little older, it's been out, in the Atomic Heart, and that game sucked. Like, was terrible. Like, I was grinding to get through the first hour.
The game looked pretty, but I tried to watch your video and I was falling asleep watching your video, bro.
There's so many cutscenes in the beginning. You're listening to it, and like, I've watched the videos at the end. You have these like crazy machines and you're shooting and they're flying around and you're jumping, and it's like, no, that didn't happen. Like, I got an axe and these like
yeah, I saw the trailers. People had guns and stuff, and all you ever had was
an axe in the beginning. All you ever
had was an axe.
That's all I had was an axe in the beginning, and like this granny that I met had a machine gun, but she wouldn't give me any guns. So I had to take this axe, and I'm fighting these freaking crazy machines with an axe.
I mean, the game looks pretty stunning.
I'm like dying left and right. I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
Like, this is you 45 minutes in, still with an axe.
Yeah, so this hallway, you think something's going to happen. So you go down this hallway. I'm like, okay. So I found this shotgun. I have 11 bullets. Okay, cool. So I'm down here. You think something's going to happen. You're hearing this music's playing. You open the door, and all of a sudden it's just like this jukebox thing, and it's another cutscene. So you're not doing anything. You just go right into another. Right here, it's going to attack me.
But you don't fight it.
No, you don't fight it. It's like a machine that's supposed to help you. But there's this huge cutscene. It's like, I could have like been playing this, or I could have been hitting buttons during this. Like, there's so many things that could happen. Like God of War, when they have scenes like this, it's like, it pauses, tap X, like make me feel like I'm doing something. But no, it's not one I'm going to be playing again. I think we've gotten 20 views overall of the video overall, and it's like, our other ones were in the hundreds of views because they were pretty fun to play and we were enjoying it. But this was not one. I'm glad I did not like rush to play it.
Now, I'll tell you what. We'll jump over to the one I played. I jumped into Minecraft Legends. I know it had been out for a couple weeks at this point, so not the newest. But this is basically, from what I understand, and you've played a lot more games than I have in this kind of genre, was almost like this this Minecraft style hack and slash kind of feel with these RTS elements and tower defense building style game. And it was simple to play, but it could be really, really, really complicated when you start directing these. Like, you get these troops, as you can kind of see them following me around, and I can direct them to different areas. And then you can gather resources. You can play. It would be a very easy game if my kid was a little bit older. This is something I would play with him because I can literally just send him off to go collect resources from a tree or stone, and then I'm trying to fight things. But the combat was super easy, and then just kind of defending areas. The story was pretty cool and unique. I might actually go back and just finish the campaign. I only played the campaign portion. There's a whole PvP element to it, which I'm sure is what is the life of this game is going to have. But I do think it's kind of cool. I know you're not the biggest fan of the Minecraft world, but I do think it's cool that the Minecraft IP is able to have all these different types of style of game to introduce maybe a younger generation into. You take an 8 to 10-year-old that's like, oh, this kind of game is really, really cool. Next thing you know, they're jumping into a full-on blown version of this, like more adult style game as they get a little bit older, where it's super complicated, but they may have never been introduced to this genre if it weren't for Minecraft. And Minecraft Dungeons to me was the same thing. I mean, it was shown on Steam a month after Minecraft Dungeons came out how all of a sudden Diablo 3 had this uptick in players, and that's because everyone wanted. They kind of got the concept of it, and then they wanted more. So obviously the next logical step to that was going over to Diablo.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's been fun. I think you've got a list of games that you're going to play. Redfall's on my list to play, and it is out. You can download it. I just checked. So
we will probably download that, and that might be recorded tonight.
I just clicked download now, but it's through the Microsoft server, so it's going to take like
maybe next
9 hours to download.
Yeah.
Don't know why that's so difficult for them, for their downloaders, but I mean, whatever. So yeah, no, it's been fun, and we get into these games and we don't normally get to the end of them, but at least giving some real like playthroughs. And I know IGN had their 15-minute plays, but you can't get anything out of 15 minutes. Like, you don't know what it is.
No, it's
cut
just
together.
Yeah, it's mostly cutscenes too at the beginning.
Yeah, and then so you just jump through it and we'll play them out. And my whole thing though is, if I get 20 likes on the video, I'll play the next hour.
Yeah.
And then you continue from that. So if everybody wants, we continue to go, and we may get through a whole game if people continue to like the series or not. But once people stop caring about it, we'll move on to the next stuff. I try to get most of the main games played as soon as possible, but you gotta remember we are on a tight budget. We're not being given these games. We are buying them on our own, and we are not making any money from any of this stuff. So it's like, got to be able to have it, and can't buy every single one that comes out now that we're talking about $70 a pop and 2 or 3 games a month. But we'll definitely hit some of the games that I want to haven't played in the past, and stuff like that. So it'll be pretty interesting. So, I'm liking
Redfall's only 207 gigabytes. I'm sure it'll be fine.
It was 100 and something.
For me, it shows 207.
207. What are you downloading? Mine was like 100.
I just clicked on Redfall. I don't know what else you want me to tell you.
103 gigs. Did you do like the special game?
Oh, no, 103 gig. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, okay. I was like, what the hell are you looking at?
Yeah, it must have been some add-ons. Well, it'll probably be the day one patch, which is another 100 and something gigs that you'll get after that 103.
Yeah, but that won't happen until tomorrow. Day one patch comes out on day 2.
It's true. Sadly.
Anyway, I think that's everything for today.
Yeah.
I think we've got through what we wanted to talk about. Thank you all for tuning in. Check us out at twodudesthatgame.com. We're on YouTube, on Facebook if you want to watch live. I know James is streaming them live. We might also start streaming these maybe on YouTube as well, just so we can have the series there. A little bit easier editing, and it's already there, so we can just move the video over. Might as well. But yeah, thanks guys, and please tune into the first hour series. Like I said, if any of those gets 20 likes, we'll go ahead and play the next hour of the game. And if anyone goes out there and gives Atomic Heart 20 likes just to make me play the next hour, I am not going to do it.
No, I'm recruiting. You just said 20 likes, you have to play the next hour.
20 likes, I've just said if I do not, that's the only game I will not play.
So you've only played 2, and already one of them you're not playing another hour of.
No, I'm not playing another hour of that game because it's not fun. I don't like it. Hands down. But that's what the series is for, to see what you like, what you don't like. Yeah. And that was not a hit for me. And also, if you look at it, not many people are searching for it anymore.
Yeah,
but I think it's watching.
I think it's good for people that are watching our channel. I said this to you before on text last week. It's good for people to realize, there are going to be people that will realize they like the style of game that you like to play or the style of game that I like to play. So all of a sudden they're like, oh, I think I would like that game. And you're like, nope. They're going to like, well, I typically like what Ender likes, so I'm not playing that.
Yeah, I would say it will be, you know what we should do? Here's what we'll try to do. I'm getting a copyright restriction on the Atomic Heart 2, and it looks like our last podcast got a copyright. We gotta go look at those. Let's play some audio or something in there.
Yeah, maybe.
I bet Atomic Heart had some kind of music playing in the background of the game that's copyrighted. Like, there's not much you can do about that. But anyway, it's probably the Mario video or something.
The copyright on the last podcast is from the 1-minute clip of Detective Pikachu.
Are you kidding me?
With no audio, and it was just I can't remember who it was, but yeah.
That's so funny. They got a good system to check for that though. That was on Twitch. No one would have seen it forever.
You've got 2 separate sections in.
Dude, I don't care. Just mute it. There's nothing there. I don't really care. It's some Russian music. Whatever. That's fine. Mute it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for listening. It's Two Dudes That Game podcast. First hour stuff we're doing. We also got to finish the Forest, Sons of the Forest.
Yeah, we need to finish.
But now they've completely changed the way the game. They completely changed the way the game plays, so we got to like actually start over now.
No.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have it. So from what I heard is since they switched the way you find locations, and we've already gone to places where the laptops would be, you can't get them to show on the map. It like glitches out. So I don't know if it's been patched or anything at that point, but it makes it to where you can't actually find the things you need to find.
Wow.
In the game because now they made the right change. So maybe we'll talk about this for a second. So you know how you had the green dots all over the place and you kind of went there and it was all the points of interest that you needed on your map. Like every point of interest you could find, like you didn't have to search or anything. Those don't exist anymore. So you have the tracker buttons, the purple ones that you find that are on people's because they're the rest of your crew that flew out of their helicopter and landed randomly. One somehow got buried, but anyway, the story isn't very straightforward there. We'll work on plot holes here later. But now there are laptops all around the map, and most of them are like in the caves. So like, you know where some of those caves just dead end and have no reason?
Yeah.
Well, there's like a table set up where they were like doing work, and you go to that table, you download that point of interest onto your map, and then you go to that point of interest. So you have to explore all the caves to find the points of interest. Then you find the points of interest to do the game. So it's like, okay, now I'm getting a progression to this game. It's not like just run to these points of interest and you're done.
Yeah.
So you're actually starting to be like, oh, okay, that makes sense on why I went into this cave and spent 9 hours in it and didn't get anything from it. I just got to the end. Like there's supposed to be stuff inside of them in there. So it's kind of cool watching the game actually finally watching a game making the right choices to make the game better. Whereas all we've done with Call of Duty is watch them make the wrong choices and make the game worse.
Yeah. Waiting on that deal to go through.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll have to see if we have to start a new game, but I think we know how to play the game now. So we'll be pretty streamlined and probably get to where we are super fast.
We just won't spend an entire day building a massive camp.
Oh, I'm still going to do that. Kidding me?
I just want to finish the game, then we can go back and do all the fun stuff. We never finish games. I want to get to the end. We got the Division, level 28, stopped.
But you're like all the games you want to play, you've been to the end. Like I'll give you Sons of the Forest because we haven't you've never beat it. You've beaten the Division. It's not like you're waiting for me to know what happens at the end. You could just go play Sons of the Forest and beat it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I'm not stopping you. You have your own save. You can just load that save up and go.
Yeah, but I'm not that far
I'm just telling you that we don't have the markers anymore, so we have to go back and find them anyway.
Yeah.
but we're already 50 days into the game, which means the ability to get through these things and how difficult it's going to be may not be worth it to backtrack all the way than just starting a new game.
We just split up and go get the markers. We know where they are.
I'm not going into those caves by myself. It's scary.
It's so true.
I'm not doing that. Not until I have all my guns and full ammo. I'm like,
and what's her name can follow us in there.
If she could go into caves like that.
If she could go into caves, I wouldn't be afraid of anything in that game.
She could go into caves. There'd be no point in playing the game. Like it'd just be like send her through. Now, what we really want. Oh, the best update ever. This is like when a community comes together and tells the developers that they need to do something and they do it, and your backlash is just greatness. Kelvin can now carry 2 logs.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can. Kelvin can carry 2 logs. They listen to the world like, why can I carry 2 logs and this guy can't? Well,
because he doesn't have ears.
Well, the ears has nothing to do with it.
It threw off his balance.
Come on. You can now carry 2 logs.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good.
The question is like, I mean, think about how much time that saves.
Yeah. Well, you would think by now, it kind of works as funny as progression in the game too, because the world has made Kelvin carry so many logs. You would think by now his strength is ridiculous.
He doesn't.
They should have made him carry three logs because he's clearly stronger than all of us.
That would be so interesting if he had like a strength leveling thing.
Yeah.
And by like day 300, he's carrying like 97 logs at a time. He's just clearing a whole. It's like, he's just clearing a whole forest with one swipe of the axe. He's
like Thor by the end of the.
No, it'd be like Paul Bunyan, like just walking through there, hacking trees down.
Like it would be interesting because
he steals Virginia from you. Like she goes off.
If you had a leveling system for Kelvin, right? Oh man, where he got so OP, when he died, it would make the devastation for you. Oh my goodness, dramatic. Yeah,
you can't make him any stronger. He has to be able to die super easy.
No, yeah, die super easy, but his skills,
gathering and skilling and building
could
and all
be
that
ridiculous.
Stuff, yeah. Oh yeah. He becomes your sole resource, and Virginia and him level even with you, like her shooting and fighting ability together. Yeah, and then that's the whole point of the game is to keep, because they can't go inside of any of your stuff. Like they just randomly go. You don't know what's going to happen to them.
So to imagine you'd have to drop everything you're doing every time there was a fight, and literally just to protect Kelvin because he's your workhorse.
Yeah,
could be an interesting mechanic. Yeah.
I mean, it's an interesting mechanic as it is for them to have something that is that kind of workhorse anyway.
Yeah.
All right. We got into another topic we weren't going to get into, but I think it was worth it. Thank you for listening. That's Two Dudes That Game. My name's Ender. Guy over there's James. We're out. Have a good night.